there's been no interaction with the outside world of Imran Khan. You're talking about a man in solitary confinement who has not met his family, his doctors, his lawyers, no one.
So the government's ignoring court orders as well to prevent family visits?
Either they get, tear gassed or beaten or arrested, or water cannons.
Does Asim and his role in mediating between Trump, Vance and Iran mean he can now do no wrong in Washington's eyes?
We were told that, President Trump really cares about his friend Imran Khan.
Did you get played by Donald Trump? Did he con you? This week marks 3 years since former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan was jailed under severely inhumane conditions, largely cut off from human contact, and now, according to his family, in deteriorating health. In fact, late last year in London, I spoke to his two sons about their fears for their father's health and their efforts to go to Pakistan and try and see him. 8 months later, they still haven't been allowed to enter the country. But while Imran Khan appears to be growing weaker in prison, Pakistani and US relations seem to be getting stronger, with Field Marshal Asim Munir serving as a seemingly indispensable intermediary between Donald Trump and the Iranians. So, has the Pakistani political and military establishment now made itself too useful for the US to care about Imran Khan's fate? Can they now simply ignore the nationwide protests that we saw again this week in Pakistan, calling for Khan's release from prison? Joining me now is Zilfy Bukharie, a former special assistant to Imran Khan, one of his closest advisors and a spokesperson for his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI party. Zilfy Bukharie, thank you for joining me on Mehdi Unfiltered.
Thank you, Mehdi.
When was the last time you received any direct information from Imran Khan about his health, about his status, not through the government, but directly from him or from a lawyer or a family member who spoke directly with him?
Well, his family members, his lawyers, his personal physicians, no one's had access to him for about 7 months now. I think the only meeting, a very brief meeting, was held by one lawyer, and it was a one-point agenda. That was when the first visit of J.D. Vance was happening to Pakistan. But that was about it. For 7 months, apart from that, there's been no interaction with the outside world of Imran Khan. However, he gets to meet his wife in prison, who's also in prison with him. And her family members every other week get to her daughter or sister-in-law get to meet her at times, depending on their mood, if they're allowed in or not. And then we kind of get to hear that, yes, he's good or he's not good. And every time the news is always very depressing and upsetting. It's, he's lost 85% vision in one eye. They say he's getting treatment, but we don't know exactly what treatment, how good it is. I mean, you're supposed to inform the family, let his physicians check it. Nothing of the sort. And recently we've heard that, his blood pressure has been quite turbulent and up and down, and he went to hospital to get treatment for that as well. So, like I said, there's been no phone call with the sons since March. There's been no interaction with the outside world for about 7 odd months.
And no indication that he might be released on medical grounds. His sister Alima has demanded his release to get medical treatment. Obviously, you mentioned 85% loss of vision in his right eye, according to his lawyer back in February. Who knows what it is now? There's no indication of any kind of health-related release for treatment.
Well, there should be, especially when you go to, the government releases statements at times saying that we've taken him to hospital, he's been given the injection, and now he's been brought back. It's always the case that when you've done a procedure in hospital, you usually can stay there. The jails are very infected, but unfortunately, it's brutality at its worst. And we've gone to courts to try to get a bail on medical grounds for him and his wife. But right now, we've had zero joy.
You mentioned brutality. Last month, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, Alice Jill Edwards, put out a statement saying Imran Khan's 33 months in prison, much of it spent in solitary confinement, amount to extreme, inhumane conditions. Has that statement from the UN Special Rapporteur had any effect on the Pakistani government?
None, Mehdi. Just yesterday, we had a long statement from Amnesty International as well, marking the 3 years of Imran Khan's illegal imprisonment. And they also stated the same. But unfortunately, UN has spoken about it, the Special Rapporteur on Torture, Amnesty International has spoken about it many times. UN has given, a whole working group opinion, which is totally one-sided about that this is illegal arbitrary detention. He should be released. He should be given compensation. And it also says that inquiry of those who put him in should be done. And it also says he's only put in so that he doesn't take part in the 2024 elections. So, UN and all have done it, but the problem is the execution after. The government just doesn't reply, just doesn't bother. Right, like you rightly said, is because where they need the appeasement from, they've gotten it.
We'll come back to the US in a moment. Just on the government not responding, I spoke to Imran Khan's two adult sons, Qasim and Suleiman, last December in London. They wanted to go see their dad in January. In the new year, they were trying to get visas to go to Pakistan and see him in prison. They've not been granted those visas they applied for. Last September, I interviewed Pakistani Defence Minister Khaja Mohammad Asif at the UN, and he said, those should be fine to go see them. Do we know what the hold-up is? Has the Pakistani government offered any kind of explanation to your party?
Well, I think the government or the establishment takes the phone away, the Twitter away from the defense minister time to time. But we're exactly at the same spot, on the same place that we were when he last spoke to both his sons. They haven't been granted a visa. It's very easy to grant a visa. It's a simple process online, and you just have to press a button to approve it. But they haven't done so. So, they're also waiting, but with, again, no joy.
Even his sister, who's been trying to see him, hasn't been given access. Even there's been an order, I believe, from the Islamabad High Court. So the government's ignoring court orders as well to prevent family visits.
Absolutely. They've been in contempt pretty much every other week. The High Court had issued a order that you give us the names of the people who are going to go see him on a Tuesday, for example. The 6 names get given, approved, and then they go outside the jail, and they're there all day. And this has now become a routine on Tuesday. The sisters go, workers, supporters, parliamentarians, ministers from the province that we're in government and go, and they do basically a sit-in outside, and either they get tear gassed or beaten or arrested or water cannons, or they just have to leave after midnight or 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning after the sit-ins. And this has become a routine for every Tuesday. And this is 7 months. You're talking about a man in solitary confinement, 23, 24 hours a day, and has not met his family, his doctors, his lawyers, his party members, no one.
Let me ask you this, Zulfi Bukhari. Is there currently any negotiation going on between your party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI, and the military establishment or the political establishment in Pakistan over Imran Khan's release?
Look, unfortunately, Mehdi, there's not. Nothing of value or concrete. There's sometimes a little bit of chat between perhaps the party, the acting chairman or our chief minister and others, but it just goes nowhere, right? And it just says, if you do this, then we'll be nicer. But, again, we're 7 months in and of being nice or trying to accommodate whatever we can. But there's been no light at the end of the tunnel with them.
The reason I asked, Zulfi, is the Observer newspaper in the UK reported last weekend that, quote, sources close to the Pakistani military establishment and Khan's family have indicated that a deal to free the World Cup winning captain has been discussed behind the scenes. Are you saying that's not true? You're actually quoted in that article too.
No, that's not true. And I think if I'm probably quoted in the article, it's probably saying there's no talks going on.
Liking this video? Then don't just watch, hit like, share and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism. So, okay, if there was a deal on the table, what would that look like? What would the establishment in Pakistan want in return? Would they say, okay, we'll let him go if he agrees to go into exile, if he agrees to retire from politics, if he agrees to stay silent?
There has been, I think, offers of exile at the very beginning. Imran Khan over and over again said that, God forbid if I have to, I'd die in my prison cell, but I will not leave the country. And that's his whole struggle. It's for the people of Pakistan, and he doesn't want to fight that struggle sitting from abroad. So that's not the option. As far as going any further, the real question really is that what have you achieved in the 4 months of putting him behind, 4 years of putting him behind bars, 3 years putting him in, and another year of when our government fell? Has Pakistan started looking like Dubai all of a sudden? Has any of the economic sectors flourishing, from agriculture, property, FDI coming into the country? Nothing. Pakistan is in a much worse state 4 years down the road with Imran Khan behind bars than it was when he wasn't. So all this hard state, all this manipulating, maneuvering, rigging the elections. You've seen recent Azad Jammu Kashmir elections, people up in arms in our side of Kashmir. And you see bloodshed in Balochistan, military, you see terrorism on the rise in KP. People are leaving the country in high numbers. It's the highest brain drain in the country's ever seen. So in 3 years, 4 years of this, the question is, what have you even achieved? And so they've done all this to basically take Pakistan back 20 years.
Zilfy, some people say Imran Khan wouldn't agree to any deal to leave prison, let alone leave Pakistan. Some people say he has a messiah complex, a God complex even, and that he'd actually prefer to die in prison as a martyr, as a shaheed. Do you agree with that?
I think he wouldn't accept any deal which doesn't keep his integrity intact, doesn't keep his dignity intact, and isn't for the betterment of Pakistan. That is for sure. Imran Khan is not looking for a deal where they take him out and make him prime minister. Imran Khan from within prison is not even saying release me. All he is saying is give me a free trial. Let me go to court. Let my lawyers present in court fairly. Let my cases be put up. And if I lose those, I'm in prison. And if I win those, I'm free.
But given time is not on his side, given we've talked about his health, I'm just wondering, okay, he wouldn't accept a deal because he wants to make a statement about his integrity, but you're his advisor, you're one of his advisors, you've known him a long time. If he asked you, what would you say? Would you advise him, take a deal, get out of there, save yourself?
Again, I think if it doesn't breach his main principles, Imran Khan, everybody around the world, from every Pakistani in any nook and corner of the world, loves him, and they love him for his ideals. They love him for his optimism and hope for the country. He would never be the same as a Zardari or a Nawaz Sharif. As an advisor to him, as very personally very close to him, I kind of flip it on the head. I kind of say that if Sayyid Asim Munir is become the Chief of Army Staff, Field Marshal, and a couple of more titles, it's his prerogative that if today he's the father of the nation, to put a healing hand over the country. Like I said, you haven't achieved anything in 3-4 years of betterment for Pakistan in terms of economically or terrorism-wise or anything else. So now you would actually just think, okay, what legacy do I want to leave? Should it be one of the same as the previous military dictators, and we all saw their end? Or is it one of that I'm putting a healing hand on the country and taking the country towards more of where it was progressing to and where it should be progressing to? And obviously the foundation of that is justice in court and democracy.
The third anniversary of Imran Khan's detention this week was marked by protests across Pakistan, including by members of PTI. Organisers have said the protests could continue until Imran Khan is released. But is PTI in its current form, having been repressed, cracked down on, is it capable of sustaining long-term interventions like this, protests?
Well, look, we've been sustaining it for 3 to 4 years now. The Chief Minister has given a long march order for the 27th. People must understand our crackdowns are far worse than you see in neighboring countries of military as well. Our military is far more entrenched, far more powerful than many others. So protests and the way they crack down on us, 13,000 people in prison, leadership in prison, exile, abducted, tortured. They've really cracked down hard on us. We will continue our struggle. We will do a big, long march towards Islamabad. We're going to now start doing all the logistics for it in the coming weeks and prepare for September 27th. We will obviously, we won't let go until he's freed. And it's an uphill task. We've lost many people who have died, many people who are in prison, abducted, children. It hasn't been easy. And, I'm glad that international media covers it. BBC wrote today that, there's been restriction on international media now in Pakistan. We used to criticize India on this. And now we're doing exactly the same. Al Jazeera is not allowed in Pakistan anymore. You can't watch it. BBC is restricted. All other international outlets are now restricted from moving around freely. This is something that we used to heavily criticize India on, and we've gone down the same path.
So let's talk about US-Pakistani relations. Since Imran Khan's arrest, we've seen the rise in influence of, as you mentioned, Field Marshal Asim Munir, who also has become the intermediary, one of the intermediaries between the Trump administration and the Iranian government. Trump has called him his favorite field marshal. Not sure Trump knows any other field marshals. J.D. Vance has joked that along with his wife, General Munir is one of the two most important people in his life. Does Asim Munir's role in mediating between Trump, Vance and Iran mean he can now do no wrong in Washington's eyes, and there is no way that the Donald Trump administration, even if they've ever had planned to, and I doubt they did, are going to put any pressure on him vis-a-vis Imran Khan?
Well, it's blatantly obvious now that they're not. Look, if we separate things for a second, they've done a good job in sort of captivating President Trump and his team around them, wooing them, and using the right tools, appeasement, crypto, mines, at the very beginning, handing over a few terrorists that CENTCOM had asked for, and getting them for him. So, they've done well in that, and we all appreciate it. And in the sense that they've done well in the trying to be a bridge and trying to be a mediator in the conflict. No one wants war. We want people to save lives. We don't want our neighboring country to be at war, and that ultimately affects all of us. So we all have supported, the military or the establishment, the regime in this. Even when we had the conflict against India, it was actually PTI's social media that stood up and fought against India's social media, because no one supports this government's social media. So we actually stood up and supported our country every time when it was about Pakistan as a whole in the bigger picture. But obviously, when you're looking at how they've maneuvered, President Trump's regime, obviously, prior to President Trump winning the elections, I was in touch. I am in touch with his very close inner circles. We were told that President Trump really cares about his friend Imran Khan, and it's not that we thought that he's going to send military in and take him out of the prison, but it was a question of that you raise the voice and the awareness, and you put pressure saying, look, this is unfair, give him a free trial, give him house arrest or something, like UN is doing, like Amnesty International. But that went all down the drain when a lot of Pakistanis decided to support the Republicans in elections on this.
Were Pakistani Americans in particular, did you get played by Donald Trump? Did he take advantage of you like he has done to so many groups over the years? Did he con you?
Well, Mehdi, as Imran, in the words of Imran Khan, politics is a ball-by-ball game. So, there was probably one tactic before, because knowing that the diaspora is completely in favor of Imran Khan, using it over there, and then when you had a much better offers on the table, and President Trump loves men in uniform, strong men. That kind of bravadoism is something he always admires or looks up to. That's what he went for. So I think overall, yes, I think all Pakistanis are massively, I know you guys did an article as well, are massively disappointed in the way the US has treated Pakistan. And the reason I say that is not about, again, that they were going to come and intervene and take Imran Khan out. They're dropping bombs on a country saying that I don't think the people are happy with that regime over there. This is 250 people, democratic country, right? Apart from the times we've had military rule, we've had elections. And those voices have been silent, and the champions of human rights, unfortunately, have turned a blind eye on it.
They have indeed. Let's see what happens next. Zulfie Bukari, thank you for taking time out, for giving us an update on what's happening with Imran Khan. Appreciate you taking time for Mehdi Unfiltered. Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to zeteo.com. Your support matters.